put to the test to a certain degree because of how much scaling is on BYG. If it does get to 25 minutes, do look for the game script to possibly flip.
Well, that is the timer we're going to have to be watching for, but for right now, start your game clocks, everybody, because we are onto the Rift for our first game in this best-of-5 series. The Battle of the Banks finally hits the postseason, and one of these two squads is going to cash in for a trip to Worlds.
Pretty bold invade, looking, really trying to bait it out.
I like it.
Of course, level 1, in game number 1, if anything spicy does happen, that really sets the tone for the entire series, because that one play could just set you behind 0-1 right off the bat in the best of 5. BYG, again, their composition a lot more scale heavy. That is not something they want to give up at the onset of the game.
Yeah, playing it safe, and of course CFO playing it bold, going big or going home. And you got to think back to when we saw this from Shun before. His only other Draven game was in game 1 of that series against PSG Talon, which was an absolute banger the other week. And on that Draven, he popped off, man. 13 kills, 1 death. And I don't want to say he made Unified look like a chump, but he certainly crushed that lane pretty hard with Koala on an Ashe support.
And Koala having counter pick in this series might be a theme, especially over on red side. That is traditionally where they really hold the pick for Koala. And this time, okay,
the engage already happens. They're going in. And yeah, look at the damage they're already dealing onto the Zeri. There's not a whole lot they can do, but they turn it back onto Nautilus, and that's going to force the pushback. All right, so for now, we are already getting into the action, but it is probably just a brief response.
Yeah, of course, we're going to just try and hard force a lot of action down in this bottom lane, given that, you know, we've got the Draven. And against Zeri, Zeri a whole lot in lane presence into something like the Draven. And it's all about the scaling when it comes to Zeri. And even though Zeri can have those big moments in these team fights, I'm not sure if that's be there for Wako, because of the fact he is, where he does have a Leona support. So the ceiling is going to be a little bit lower than what we would expect from a typical Zeri game. So that would be something to keep track of, as Usha looks like he's the one getting track of.
Yeah, I was about to say, I would not put it past Gemini to try and set up that play 3v3. As CFO are working on a game clock, working on a timer, they're going to go ahead and let this go, and the ward gets cleared, critical by Husha. And that's just going to be the reset for now. But yeah, you got to keep your eye all across the map. There could be kills in any solo lane, any time, anywhere, it seems.
Especially with the quality of laner coming in from CFO, the longer these lane phases do go, it should look better and better for them. And the most important factor will be the forward percentage of Usha, instrumental in his swaddle floats in the lane phase. And for Gemini, it's about just making able to prevent Usha from being able to keep track of his or influence his lanes.
Exactly. I think you were talking about this too when we were setting up for our pregame, how it's such a big development that Beyond were able to have high forward percentages when they have had success in the past against teams like CFO that are hyper aggressive early. They can't shut all the lanes down.
Yeah. That's been sort of their approach where, hey, we know Husha is going to try and play aggressive. We can play around our jungler in this instance. However, in this particular game, because of how much pressure is really asserted by having Draven Nautilus to a Zeri lane, it does make the map a little bit lopsided. Now, Husha, if he wants to find an aggressive, it's going to be invades towards that top half of the map rather than that bottom, and if that happens, you do force the Zeri out on an island, as you know, will try and stop the back and will be successful in that
Let's do it.
regard. However, even if you compare the itemization, like Doran's Blade to a Vamp Scepter advantage for Wako, yes, you technically have the better buy, but when Draven presses Q, it kind of throws that to the wayside.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then, of course, stand aside as well throws the Zeri to the wayside. So you've got to be careful. You have to respect that in the bot lane. When you're playing Zeri, you want to play a little bit for the late game, which is why the Leona was a bit of an interesting choice, I think. But we do want to check in elsewhere. We did compare our top laners. We talked about the difference between these two. Well, so far, Rest definitely getting the better of Leakai, as was to be expected. But at least with him backing, getting healthy, the wave will crash into him, and he's able to pick it up. So Leakai doing what he can to, at the very least, lose this lane gracefully, not give the Aatrox an opener. I think that makes a lot of sense. Husha doesn't tend to spend a lot of time around the top side, and he's going to have his work cut out for him, at least in the bot, probably in the mid as well, but another reason you go for an Orianna on Minji, right? Especially with this roam coming up now for the Nautilus.
Yeah, roam coming in, just a lot of focus from Koala into mid lane, making sure Mission is able to hold on or not get ganked. But yeah, should be now the attention turn to the drain. They even bring Rest on, so this is a great move for them. And looks like CFO off to a great start.
So far, so good, and we will get the Dragon secured by CFO. Objectives have definitely been solid for them this side of the map. I mean, looking at the way that this team actually plays around the objectives, because they're such dominant laners, they are able to exert a lot of pressure on the map, and as a result, they're actually the best team in the league for securing that first Drake. They get it more than 2/3 of the time just across the entire league, and the only objective that they really get that they really lose out in terms of how Beyond does versus them is really the Herald. And I think that's just a testament to how much they actually bring down the side of Leakai into the mid lane, into other parts of the map, because Leakai doesn't really get a whole lot of help from his jungler. He has to end up coming to him. So as we keep watching this game, CFO building these short leads, they've still been held killless. That's the important thing. So Beyond, they just need to not give up unnecessary deaths, let the Draven cash in on the stacks, and they have that timer to work with. We are keeping our eyes on the game clock. It'll be a while before we get to that 25-minute mark and the scaling starts to kick in. But so far, Beyond have done a good job of not giving up too much ground. As we just let the early game phase play out after a couple nice attempts from the side of CFO to get a little bit of shenaniganery going on. They didn't hard commit to anything, not even the level 1. They will look to open up onto Herald. This is started by Gemini, and in full vision, but Beyond Gaming not in a position to necessarily contest, even with 3 members nearby. They know it can be matched pressure-wise. They don't want to start feeding any kills to the likes of an Aatrox or a Viego. That's going to be secured up. First Herald going the way of CTBC flying Oyster as well, so they are continuing their trend of controlling objectives across the map. Again, Beyond are playing to that scaling game. You gotta be careful not to give up too much ground. I am a little bit aware that we are currently having a handful of technical issues on the end for Nightstar, possibly with me as well. So thank you all for bearing with us as we try to get everything up and running smoothly. I'll keep narrating the action as we go. We got the Wukong hanging out in that brush. Husha looking to make a play, but the game sense is tingling here. You have to think now on the ward before it expires. Not bad. But we'll see if the all-in from Leakai can go anywhere. No, he doesn't have 6 just yet to work with. So he's not going to be able to fully commit to that Hextech ultimatum. Looks like we got you back, Nightstar.
I think we're improving. I'm not sure. We'll have to take it as it goes.
Sound good to me.
As it's going to be Herald down into the bot lane. This is to be expected, right? Because we have the Draven. And over on the top side, Rest is doing well enough for himself. That's definitely not a problem for him in this matchup. Again, Leakai has been more of a stabilizing top lane, where he just makes sure he goes, he tries to lose gracefully, and it's all about just having better impact in these team fights. We'll see how well he's able to execute around this Camille. Of course, last year he was very well known for his Camille. That was his most played champion, and the tandem plays he had with G-Mian were definitely really exciting to watch. Okay, that's actually a blue buff going to a Wukong.
I think that was a strength, and it is, as the Whirling Death gets popped by Shun to just try and cut that wave, not give Wako any plates early on. So, as we are 10 minutes into the game, the fact that Beyond have still not given up a death, not a bad sign for this team, not a bad look, but they are ceding ground, and they may have that streak broken here as the dive's getting set up. No flash from Lee Kai, does have an ultimatum, and he knows this is happening. At least he knows that the Taliyah is around, but he's able to start pushing things back, waiting for that next wave. Rest will be looking to set it up.
It doesn't look like it will be a dive, but we have now seen Mission start looking towards these side lanes. Has the ultimate available, so you know he very much could pull the trigger at any moment. And this is actually really interesting, because Mission actually goes and takes the wolves. So he's hiding himself on the map and just trying to conceal where he is, not showing in the mid lane. And that extra time, you know, I'm not sure how well it pays off, but now it will be a lot of attention brought down to this second dragon.
Not a bad opener here from Beyond Gaming. They gotta be careful not to get sandwiched as they look to back off. Wusha taking a little bit of poke damage, and ooh, the right Wukong gets shoved seismically by Mission. Really good guess on that one, and it opens up the opportunity to take another Drake as they get chased away. CFO say nice leash, thank you.
CFO, they get to the party second, but it ends up paying off for them with the extra health bars. Allows them to shoo Husha off the objective. And Beyond Gaming are one of those teams that they don't like contesting for that first dragon, and second dragon is really contingent on how they feel about their power spikes. Usually when they have a more mid-game centric composition, they will opt to take those fights, especially when you have Husha on this Wukong. However, in this particular composition, right, there's a big difference between Draven and Zeri, and also the Taliyah and Orianna, so it makes a lot of sense for them to just go ahead and concede that. And now we are going to have that first mythic being completed by Gemini and Mission, so a big power spike here for CFO.
Yeah, although you have to keep in mind the first top buy also comes in for Lee Kai, so he's actually been able to do that just off the back, and got a dragon to fight for here. Not going to go all in for it. Objectives still well controlled by CFO, as they have the ability to just fight better than Beyond. Beyond know it. Back the way they've given up Herald and 2 dragons already, but not a single death. And the gold lead, it's only 2,000 Nightstar. Beyond have got to be feeling pretty good about themselves overall.
2,000 gold with this sort of composition has to be at least par for the course, right? Because of the existence of the Draven, and also still the sideline pressure coming in from Mission on this Taliyah pick. So far, it's just a lot of shoving, right? And it's prevented BYG from really even coming close to playing their typical playstyle, which is super far forward, allow Husha to invade, get vision control in the enemy jungle, and then be able to play super freely. And now it's actually the side of BYG that's are getting real pressured in their own jungle. So their strategy is really getting turned on its head, and that gives more airspace to now CFO turn their attention towards this second Rift Herald, which should result in more gold into Shun.
Yeah. Gonna go ahead and pick that one up. Secure. Gemini crushes, or grabs the eye, I should say, as they now get the lane swap on, rotating top. Lee Kai knows it. He's gonna back away, and I think this is gonna be first brick, as they should be able to shove on before any result can happen. Lee Kai's actually gonna stick around, and so is Husha.
be a lot of top action about to happen here. Recall coming in from Oriana, doesn't have the teleport, so won't be able to join back up in his top side. It's a very possible 3v3, and if this is a 3v3, CFO, if they can just snag that first kill, it doesn't really matter what happens afterwards.
Yeah, I think they know that they can get this first tower. Beyond don't want to give them anything extra on top of that, so they will extend the gold lead. It's at about 3,000 now. All that said, Beyond have played very, very smart at respecting the power spikes, where this team can be. Leakai actually cutting off the Herald. Oh, I don't think he's going to get in time. There we go. He finds the glowing weak spot in the back, like any good video game player.
Both of the side lane tier 1s do fall, though. So that is a big pickup coming in from CFO, and they extend their gold lead ever so slightly, now out to 3K. The big question will be this next dragon, right? Because it is coming up in a minute. And for BYG, they do have their first mythic on the board, but at even mythics, it is still going to be very difficult for them to contest. However, they're sort of put in a position where it feels like they do need to contest, and that is definitely the dangerous part, as it is going to be Ocean Soul on the map, and this does mean there's a lot more bushes to play around with. The vision denial will be even more important here, and it will get really scary as the game progresses if they lose this dragon, because it makes it very difficult for them to even wander out onto the map.
Oh yeah, and I do think that the Ocean Soul, as the game gets a little bit later, CFO, it's not, the big combat stats, but the regen is good if you want to try and keep yourself alive in these fights. It can definitely help out a lot if they end up in these extended engages, which could possibly happen. Death Brush, though, is warded off, pushed away. They get the teleport in from Rest, and now the Dragon's being started by Megabank Beyond Gaming here. We'll see if they can get this in time, or if it's going to be CFO going up the Soul Point. As the 5v5's in, Rest over the wall. They get the hook, they manage to land it on to Minji, and he gets bursted. That's first blood in 17.5 minutes, and they will be able to pick up 2, so not only does the Draven cash in, he does it again, and they take Kino out to boot. CFO opening up with the damage.
Oh.
And the Draven's on the board, Nice Star.
What a big pick there, coming in from Kwa. Lands the hook onto Minji of all targets. And a key component of that team fight from the side of BYG, being able to land the hook and follow up with the ultimate means Minji is unable to find the ultimate of his own to turn that fight around. That means double cash in for the Draven. He's got a massive purchase waiting for him home base. I cannot wait to see what this purchase will be. We get to see the replay. It's going to be Kwa with the hook, lands straight onto Minji. Minji's positioning not exactly great.
What a great setup.
In that instance, but once he goes down, there's really nothing left for the side of BYG to stand on. No ground left, because you don't have really a good frontline tank in this instance, because Kino also got CC'd in that sequence of events as we get a full collector completed along with a BF sword. This is a very strong Draven.
Oh boy. Yeah, that just made Beyond's life a little bit harder there. And yeah, I was going to say, Nystar, of course, they didn't have any ground to stand on because it was all worked. Mission definitely helped out a lot in the setup. I really want to give Koala credit, though. This is why the Nautilus is so heavily contested in this league. His Mission respects the Leakai all in, flashes back and away. Husha, Kino, they will walk away a little disappointed, and the pressure's on for this Beyond Gaming team now. As the Draven got a couple of kills, got accelerated. They need to buy more time. We said it was 25 minutes, but we're still 5 away from that, and I kind of feel like CFO are going to have a little bit more time to work with there.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. As they have a massive gold lead, and you already look at the itemization coming in from Mission. We were so critical about Mission's itemization in the PSG series. It took him forever to actually build the stopwatch, and that just led to him getting picked off time and time again. This time around, he's gone for a second item, Banshee's Veil. This really just consolidates their lead because it's so difficult for the side of BYG to break that veil. It's going to take a lot of effort, whether it's the electro laser has to land, or it's going to take the ball to come out from Minji to be able to pop that veil. So really, as long as you're positioning safely, then you're pretty much able to dodge out on any of the big CCs coming in from BYG, and that's all they have to try and force a pick.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they're not presenting a whole lot of weakness here and using the leverage they have from their strong early game and the way their composition works. This is one of the reasons we love to watch CFO, because they just understand the way that they like to play League of Legends, and it works out. More often than not here, in this Battle of the Banks, they definitely look to improve their overall head-to-head record, especially considering the winner of this series goes to Worlds. As a reminder, on Soul Point, 21 minutes on the game clock. We've got another Dragon coming up in about 1:45. That's going to be huge, and it's something that Beyond cannot afford to give up, an early Soul like that. But it will not be easy. They're going to need to be in great positioning. They're going to need to find a flank with Leakai. They're going to need to find a great Cyclone from Husha. And Minji's probably going to have to hit one of those 4,000 elo shockwaves.
Yeah, this shockwave has to be absolutely massive, and there's still that Wombo potential, right? You layer the Cyclone straight into the shockwave, and you might be able to just straight up delete 2 or 3 members on the side of CFO. However,
Right.
it's still, you know, that's the dream scenario, and there's a reason why it is called a dream scenario, not realistic, because it's truly going to be difficult for them to find that, as Shun is kind of out on his own.
Whoa. Well, that looks like a dream scenario there, but he's still able to stay alive for now. Pops the stopwatch he just bought, which clutch timing there, finally gets shut down, but will Beyond live to tell the tale. They pull 2 back on the Taliyah, immediately deleting Husha and Tito off the map, and boom, Wako falls as well, despite the fact that they lost their bot laner in the start of it. Beyond are going to get cleaned up by CFO. Only Minji limps away. Woo! I hope that kill was worth it.
It's really understandable why the side of BYG go for that play, but CFO are well prepared. They're just so far ahead. Even with the loss of their Draven, it doesn't matter. They have more than enough stats all across the board. They have such large, they have a level advantage all across the board as well. So that's extra gold value there in that fight. So CFO, they lose their AD carry, still win the fight, and they pretty much lock the game down here as they actually turn around for Baron. That might give BYG the ability to stall things out just a little more. This is a great pick though, coming in from BYG, landing that stun onto Shun, and it almost was an insta deletion, and if that happened, that might have changed things ever so slightly. Whew. But they weren't able to instantly delete him, so you know,
buying time too.
Yeah.
Okay, CFO, they back out of this one. We're going to have a proper Dragon Dance. But yeah, that fight, that was great. And I really just want to call attention to Mission's Seismic Shove, because that made all the difference. He picks up some kills in that. So, again, we start to see the Taliyah damage dealer and the veteran status of this mid laner. One of our most decorated in the PCS and even the LMS before it. Mission has definitely stepped it up after, I think, some well-earned critique in the way that he was playing and itemizing in previous series. They are going to keep flipping on the Dragon, but CFO used the opportunity to actually send Rest back. Doesn't have TP. They actually got the inner tower, and the wave is crashing. Beyond have to commit to this, but they're getting cold feet, Nightstar. They're leaving it at 5,000 hit points, trying to use the brush to their advantage. Rest sees that there was a Wukong clone. They have to know that information's there, and as the reset happens, CFO are just going to come in and say, all right, if you're not going to take this, we are going to force your hand. Chasing Beyond out of the pit. They're going to use the Weaver's Wall, and it cuts off everybody but Kino. He's isolated. He pops his ultimate. They look for the pickup onto Shun. The dive goes into the back, but immediately the attention is turned as Mission takes down Kino in the fight. Husha tries for the knockup, and let's see, as the Dragon goes down, they still manage to find an opener, find a fight, but Rest is just too darn big. Gemini looking at Wako in the backline, turns back to Husha. Koala gets that hook, the setup, they may lose him, doesn't matter. They still manage to turn this into a 2v2 as Beyond Gaming split the party here. They will be able to get away thanks to the Zeri's ability to hop those walls. Oh, but for
Chase is
how
still
long?
on.
There's really no base to fall back to as they just have so many
good
towers
sidestep.
already gone. Gemini can't quite do it. Great stutter from Wako. All the same. Despite the even trade in fight, the soul goes over to CFO.
And you can see how the soul actually changes the scope of that fight, because if a BYG aren't able to one-shot you, the staying power in this composition is really nuts. You have so much healing coming in from the Draven, you have so much healing coming in from this Aatrox, and because of how far ahead they are, even Gemini is going to heal a ton of HP in these fights. So now you're forced to try and build some of that heal cut, and they are trying to get it, as we see the Executioner's Calling built up onto Husha, but they are just so far behind. If you invest extra gold and trying to slow down the healing, you also miss out on just damage that you need to finish off a kill. And right now, Wako is just too far away from that Infinity Edge, which he needs to be able to start turning these fights. Not quite online yet, and Minji, along with his 2 items, Archangel's a very low damage second item here. It's really just for the fastest power spike, because you understand they needed to have as much power as possible for that last dragon fight, and unfortunately it doesn't go their way. Now this is over a 10k gold lead.
Yeah, and use the Weaver's Wall to cut Leakai off. They yoink him in. Koala finds the damage. They do pop that Solar
Oh,
Flare.
that's a
but with
bounce
the Seismic
out.
Shove, another great one from Mission. Should cashes in on that, and here we go. Looking for the Viego setup. Gemini, little speedy boy with that DMP. They'll just keep on moving straight into the base with the numbers advantage. Leakai can't flank if he's not off the fountain.
Yep.
So CFO know exactly what they need to do, and they just throw their weight and their wallets at Beyond Gaming.
Does look like this first game might just be a wraps sooner rather than later. CFO?
Could be. Not going to push their advantages too far here. They're going to back away. Broken into the base already, Nightstar. So much pressure. That time clock that we talked about, the 25-minute, that's definitely been extended significantly. CFO bought a lot of time for themselves. And here is going to be the
Hail
teleport
Mary
flank. Beyond are going to try to bring this game back in their favor, and CFO don't know this is happening. They have to know
Ultimates
the timing is
are
available,
all
though,
available.
as they look to
Leakai
chase them
spotted.
off, try to flank the flankers. It looks like Leakai going in, finding the ultimatum onto Shun, and into the back goes Husha, looking for that knockup. Shun's out of there. However, they do already take the monkey out. Let's see if they can do more with this one. So much workaround to cut off the rest of Beyond Gaming. Keenan's going to fall
do it.
as Rest keeps Wako and Leakai locked up. Wako a little isolated from the team. And they are going to try and keep them at bay, but it's a 1-for-2 trade nonetheless. Nightstar CFO still with the numbers advantage.
Right, but it was a really good engage coming in from Leakai, going straight onto Shun, and the follow-up was there. That was important, as Wako is going to have his backstop, and now the chase just might be on here, as Wako, he might just have to go ahead and execute. That's going to be a big loss for them, as he also loses his shield bow passive. That's gonna sting just a little bit, and CFO,
and the Baron is 12 seconds away.
Full control
Oh boy, that
of
death
the
timer
map and the game. It's rough. It's rough, Pyra, but you can see that for Beyond Gaming, they are still having their moments. Clean engage onto Shun, clean follow-up. It's just they don't have the damage to be able to take advantage of that small pick. But here's another
Look at
pick
this.
possible.
Looking for it. Rest 3v1 while the rest of his team, actually, we're watching the other caster team. We gotta go back to the game. What's going on? We gotta know. Rest is still living through this one, but the Baron is taken. He's staying alive, even finding Minji. They're dumping all the damage into him, and he must surely go down, but he nearly takes Minji with him. Look at those shields. Look at those heals. There's nothing they can do. He's an absolute juggernaut. He's a raid boss, and he finally dies. But look at the base
for
Nightstar.
Aatrox. Base for Aatrox. The classic exchange. I don't see it a whole lot, but here we go. BYG do manage to secure the kill onto Rest eventually, and now they do have a numbers advantage. It's just that they've used so many of their tools to finish off that kill. They only have one ultimate available. They need to stall for time, and thankfully, because of the numbers advantage, it will slow CFO down.
Oh boy. But it's Elder. It's Elder and 30. Nightstar, it feels like even when Beyond win the battle, they're losing the war slowly but surely. I mean, it took almost all their team to take down Rest. And Rest is building a GA.
Yep. And it also shows you that even though they do have a little bit of heal cut, the heal cut, remember, has been nerfed. Also in part because healing in general has been nerfed.
Oh boy.
But with the power of Ocean and Gourd Drinker and Spirit Visage, that's a lot of sustain. And this is just going to be
by their powers combined.
CFO just stalling things out because
it's a bait!
They can play
They're
both
going for
ends.
the two-man backdoor! They're going for it right now. Leakai's the only one that can hold for the time being. They're just going to split focus. And they know that they can
the wall has gone down as well.
Out of the base. It's the double bait. It was the double bait.
Wall taken down. Comes down to this flip, but even then, they might just lose too much in their base.
Okay, the Dragon
Minji
does start to get
engaged,
reset.
he's
They're actually looking
picked
for picks. Almost a little bit too many things. Minji is going to get taken down by Shun. Meanwhile, Kino is surely going to fall as well. Buys a handful of seconds for himself on the stun, but that Aatrox in the World Ender. It is the end of Beyond Gaming's world in game number 1. They're still going to keep their focus split as they pick up Elder, but it's just an all-you-can-eat buffet here, Nightstar. And guess what? CTBC Bank is paying for the bills, as it looks like CFO are going to close this one out. The last Nexus turret is going to fall down. The last-ditch effort from Beyond Gaming. They find Shun, but they can't take him down. Finally, Leakai gets the tack sweep to end it all, but they lose their base in exchange, and the rest of Beyond Gaming are going to fall. 32 minutes on the clock, and what an opening volley in this Battle of the Bank.
CFO come out swinging in game number 1. Coming out with the Draven pick, playing around the Draven pick, but also playing around Gemini. This game has been much different from all the other Mega Bank Beyond Gaming games before, against JT, against DCG, where